PAL Lighting is a globally distributed line of wirelessly controlled underwater LED lighting and controls for pools, spas, landscapes, water features, and outdoor accent lighting. Our passion is to be able to light up any space, whether it's a pool or spa, an outdoor living area, or anything else in between. The result is the most powerful, reliable, and diverse line of wirelessly controlled lights in the aquatics industry that are fully compatible with today's major pool automation systems. Light up the night with PAL Lighting. Ready to learn more? Visit us on the web today at pallighting.com.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Joe Trusty, and today we have special returning guest, Sean McDermott, Executive Vice President with H2Flow with us. And we're going to spend some time discussing a few of their newest products. Sean, since we last talked, your flagship product, LevelSmart, has really started changing how pool pros think about autofill systems. You're getting great feedback from the field. For today's conversation, why don't you start with telling us how LevelSmart is changing the game and the problems you originally set out to solve with that product?
Sure. So LevelSmart is a wireless autofill system. And by wireless, we mean we've taken the sensor and essentially disconnected it from the rest of the system. So you can install the sensor in a pool, a hot tub, a fountain, any sort of vessel that you need to control the level of water in and not have to destroy the deck or the surrounding equipment to do so. So it's an autofill device that can be installed in any pool at any stage of the construction or even after it's been built.
You first introduced LevelSmart at the Pool and Spa Show in Atlantic City, and now you're back. You were there recently. You're doubling down with a few new additions to the H2Flow product lineup. Let's talk about the Nautis VSF variable speed pool pump. You recently launched that at the show, and we saw a line of pool pros queued up to check it out. What can you tell us about that product, and what was the feedback like from pool pros that you spoke to on the show floor?
Sure. We're super excited about Nautis. This is a big project for us. The idea behind it is that we're taking a variable speed pump, which we all know are incredibly popular now that they're mandated, and we're combining it with our flow meter to achieve not a constant speed, but a constant flow. After all, flow is really what's important in a pool system, not the speed of the motor.
Now, I understand one of the core features of the Nautis VSF is Ecoflow. Can you tell us what is Ecoflow and how does that kind of take the guesswork out of achieving energy savings for pool owners?
Sure. So yeah, Ecoflow, named after our original product, our Ecoflow variable frequency drive that's been around for decades. So Ecoflow technology, something that we do with our large drives with Ecoflow is, again, to use our FlowViz mechanical flow meter along with the FlowViz digital sensor, take that data and process it so that the VFD controls the speed of the motor based on a required flow. So something that's commonly talked about in commercial pools is turnover rate. How often are you circulating all of the water in the pool? You've got mandates on the commercial side. There's no mandates on the residential side, but as a minimum requirement, we would suggest that circulating your pool 24 hours a day. We all know that moving water is easier to take care of than stagnant water. At a 12-hour turnover rate is going to lead to the most energy efficiency because you're not running your pump at a very high speed, as well as the lowest maintenance investment because, again, your water's constantly circulating. So that's what we're doing. Inside the actual system, we allow the pool operator or the homeowner to enter in the number of gallons in their pool and then also enter in how often they want to circulate all that water. For a 12-hour turnover, you enter 12 hours in the turnover mode feature, press the turnover mode button, and we're going to do that calculation for you, always running the pool at that gallons per minute of flow, even if you're changing water features, turning water features on and off. If your filter is getting dirty throughout the week, you know that your pool is always circulating at that constant flow, at that turnover rate.
That's the trifecta there. The ideal setup is the Nautis VSF pump integrated with the Nautis MCU motor control unit and the FlowViz. Can you explain how those three components integrated together help pool owners operate their pump at max efficiency?
Sure. Yeah. So again, the Nautis system is the pump itself with a variable frequency drive mounted to it, just like we know all residential pool pumps are configured this way. But we're going to put that drive into a remote mode, similar to as if it were being used with a large, expensive automation system. But the MCU is essentially a compact, very focused automation system for the motor only and the heater. We'll talk about that later. But again, we're doing that with an app on a phone, or it can be accessed from a browser as well. Being able to customize the features inside that app, you can run it in multiple different modes. You can run it in a constant speed if you want, if that's what your pool requires. A constant flow mode, which you're going to designate it at a gallons per minute of flow, and it'll constantly run at that flow. And then also the turnover mode that I mentioned before. All of these modes, especially the constant flow and the turnover mode, are going to allow you to run the pool at maximum efficiency, not just from an electrical standpoint, but from a maintenance standpoint. Because let's say, for example, you are running at a constant speed, and that's good for today or tomorrow, but as your filter clogs up and the flow goes down, now you're reducing the circulation in your pool. You might be causing other inefficiencies in the pool, such as developing algae or not dispersing your chemicals evenly in the pool, which can cause other issues. So when we talk about maximum efficiency, we're not just talking about electrical consumption, although that's a big part of it. We're also talking about the overall maintenance and health of the pool.
Right, and that's what that MCU is. So that smart brain that tells the pump the best way on how to run itself. So that really does close the loop for me, Sean, as far as how this pool pump helps homeowners take the guesswork out.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're that along with the extremely accurate flow measurement that we're getting out of the FlowVis unit is really what completes that unit. And that we're not just guessing at the flow based on an electrical number coming out of the pump. We know exactly what the flow is and we're able to run it precisely at that flow.
Well, let me ask you a good follow-up question, Sean, because I watched the YouTube trailer that you guys cut for this product. I mean, can this setup be used with other model variable speed pumps?
Yeah, we're working on that right now. So theoretically, any pump that can be used with automation systems, any pump that can be run off of an RS-485 Modbus connection can interface with the Nautis MCU. So you could take just the Nautis motor control unit, the FlowVis and the FlowVis digital sensor. And if we are able to get the Modbus registers, they're called, for that particular motor, we can essentially turn your pump system into a constant flow system. So for a very small investment, much less than a large automation system, we can optimize your pump and filtration and circulation system to run at maximum efficiency with that. So we are working on gathering additional motors, both aftermarket motors and complete pump systems, to work with the Nautis MCU separately.
I thought that was pretty cool that you could like BYOP, bring your own pump, and still use
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
the goodies that you have there. I mean, what are some of the other cool features that you baked into this product that you feel really differentiated from others out on the market?
Sure. So again, we've got the pump itself has a really cool light in the basket. That's a feature that everyone seems to love. And it's very useful if you're out late at night and you're maintaining your pool after coming back from vacation or a long day at work, or early in the morning before the sun's come up. You can just hit the light and check to see if you need to empty the hair and lip pot on your pump rather than just turning off everything and doing it. The lid itself is very easy to remove. We have flip out handles that give you a ton of leverage to take the lid off and put it back on. And, those are things that we did just to make ease of use a little bit better for the operator or the homeowner. Let me talk about two other features that we recently added because I think these are pretty cool. We are able to do heater control out of the Nautis MCU as well. So adding an inexpensive heater control kit, which consists of two temperature probes and a 2-wire connection to the heater, you're able to operate your heater through our app. But the neatest thing about that is that heaters require a certain flow rate to operate correctly. They all have flow switches, but sometimes you can operate in a small window between where the flow switch works and the lowest amount of flow that the heater should have. And if you're operating lower than that, the heater can be damaged. So one of the things that we're going to do is when the heater turns on, we're going to make sure that the pump is running at that minimum flow to protect the heater and provide maximum heat during the heating cycle. So that's one cool thing that we're doing. The second cool thing that I just added today at the request of one of our grit game reps, Manny, something that we did that we might not think about. And one of the great things with collaborating with guys like Manny and the grit game and all of our reps, we get ideas from them. And one thing that I didn't think about, because this is a very simple system, this isn't going to be a system that people are going to use when they have full automation systems. This is for the person that wants a little more than just a pump, but they don't want full automation, is in-floor cleaning. So pop-up heads with in-floor cleaning, they need to run at a higher flow rate than you would operate on a turnover mode, for example.
Right.
So I've just added a schedule to operate at a higher flow rate, allowing you to dial in exactly the perfect flow rate for your in-floor system, as well as the duration of how long you'd like to run that. So you can run 24 one-hour cycles of in-floor cleaning a day. Obviously, most people aren't going to do that, but you are able to schedule that now in the app, which I think is a really cool feature for a system that isn't quite automation, but has that level of customization.
Well, you baked in some really cool features into this pump here. The LED lit basket, I really love. The flip down handle is definitely a winner. I feel like you're finally nailing some of the features that pool pros and pool owners are asking for, and that you really dialed it in with this product. Another one that you recently launched, FillStop, your third or fourth big product in the H2Flow product lineup. What can you tell us about FillStop, and where does it fit into the overall ecosystem?
Sure. So FillStop was born from feedback from pool professionals, which is just awesome. We go to these shows and, we talk about LevelSmart, and pool pros' brains are always moving. They're always thinking about ways to improve their efficiency in the field. And they were constantly asking, can I use LevelSmart to fill a pool? And theoretically you can, but because of the way LevelSmart operates, it might take a week or 10 days to fill a pool completely just by using LevelSmart. So we went to the drawing board and said, well, how do we create a nice little tool for pool professionals based on, the idea of LevelSmart? We don't need a wireless sensor because this is a portable tool. So we were able to use a nice, reliable wired sensor. But essentially what we created is a tool inside of a Pelican style box that's easy to carry around and all self-contained, that you can connect a garden hose to and put the sensor in the pool where you want the water to stop. So what we're doing is creating an automated fill system for pool professionals, whether they're doing renovations, topping off a pool, or, new pool construction.
Well, let me ask you, for service pros that are juggling dozens, maybe sometimes hundreds of pools, how does this kind of tech become a real game changer for those guys?
Of course, yeah. And again, that's, I think, why the pool professionals that brought this up to us brought it up in the first place, because there's a few things that happen when you are filling a pool manually. You're throwing a garden hose in there. You're either relying on the customer or the homeowner to stop the water where it needs to be stopped, which can't always be reliable. They might forget, they might have something that's pressing, they have to leave the pool, and it overfills. That's a huge problem that can create a lot of issues, not only for the homeowner, possibly neighbors. You get into litigation and things like that. These are stories that I've heard. So other than relying on the homeowner, the only other thing that you can rely on is either yourself as the pool professional or one of your employees going back to the house constantly to check on the level of water. You don't know the gallons per minute of fill coming out of a garden hose, so it's, you kind of can guess at it. It might not be full when you go back. So what we're doing is we're eliminating the time and the cost associated with going out to all of these pools that you might have filling at that time, by giving the pool professional a reliable tool to monitor that for them and to stop it at the exact level where they want it to stop.
Now, you mentioned earlier in our conversation about collaborating with folks like the Grit Game, and that you're constantly making refinements and improvements to this product. It seems like you're taking that feedback in real time, making adjustments to the product to make it better day by day. What kind of real world problems is H2Flow solving for today's pool pros? And where do they start to see ROI when adding H2Flow's tech to their arsenal?
So I think one of the things that we're most excited about is developing products and making our existing products better. And I think the motivation behind that is, I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been a pool guy. I've been in the field. I've worked in retail stores. And I develop products and we develop products based on feedback again, but also with the idea that we're trying to make both pool professionals' lives and homeowners' lives better in whatever way that we can do that, whether it be from creating an ultra reliable flow meter like FlowViz, something that doesn't need to be replaced. If you're operating commercial pools, something that is always going to give an accurate flow reading and, the apple of all of pool inspectors' eye, because they know that it's going to be working correctly and giving an accurate reading. LevelSmart, again, an option for a pool professional to be able to install an autofill device on a pool. Aside from the plumbing side of things, it takes 20 minutes to install LevelSmart. So they can be in and out, install an autofill system in a customer's pool. The consumer doesn't have to worry about filling the pool. The pool professional knows that when they come back to the pool, it's always going to be at the correct level. Those sorts of things. So yeah, in our mind, the ROI is not in just the profit of being able to sell the product to the homeowner, but also in how it's going to improve the lives of the installers and the owner of the pool.
Full spectrum, Sean. Now that you have LevelSmart, Nautis VSF, FillStop, your other products in the lineup, you're really covering the entire life cycle of water management from construction and startup to ongoing operation. As a complete system, I mean, how do all these products complement one another?
Sure. Obviously on the fill side of things, we've got the FillStop to automate the fill for the pool professional. And then we've got, you follow up that with installing a LevelSmart. So now the pool is going to maintain the level properly. With the fact that we've got such an amazing flow meter and an electronic attachment to that, an electronic output, we wanted to expand on that. And the pump was the next natural progression on that. So we're completing a system there for the people out there that want to have the best pool for the most reasonable amount of money. So, there are automation systems out there. Shout out to Poolside Tech, the attendant, one of our partners that are using FlowViz and FlowViz Digital in amazing ways that we never thought would even be possible. They're figuring it out. But again, that's a full automation system. There's a lot of pools out there that don't need or don't want that. So we're kind of filling the gap there as well. So all that stuff's integrated into the BlueSync app. So we're giving the homeowner and the pool professional a common place to go see the data and to know what's going on with the pool as it's in operation.
Very good. I mean, take us home, Sean. For pool pros listening who want to understand what truly differentiates H2Flow, what's the biggest takeaway you want them to walk away with from today?
The fact that we're here for them, that's the underlying motto that we have in our company. Our motto to the public is intelligent water controls, but the underlying is that we're here to make your life easier and to make your life better. Bring us ideas. We're here to listen. We want to innovate. We want to bring products to market that are going to do that for everybody.
Sean, thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning, taking us under the hood with some of H2Flow's newest offerings and hanging out with us. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Likewise, I appreciate you having me.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for today. Make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast.
PAL Lighting is a globally distributed line of wirelessly controlled underwater LED lighting and controls for pools, spas, landscapes, water features, and outdoor accent lighting. Our passion is to be able to light up any space, whether it's a pool or spa, an outdoor living area, or anything else in between. The result is the most powerful, reliable, and diverse line of wirelessly controlled lights in the aquatics industry that are fully compatible with today's major pool automation systems. Light up the night with PAL Lighting. Ready to learn more? Visit us on the web today at pallighting.com.